Yeah, I figured it out. So the orange at the top is at 2 minutes. And the timer at the bottom started the same time we started recording. So we have a minute before.
Well, you can start right now because I actually know how I'm gonna lead into this.
You need a whole minute though?
I need 45 seconds. So if anyone listens to this show consistently, you know that there's a running joke, at least in my head, that like this is totally like a senior assignment that like I'm just showing up and eating Doritos while Jerry's typing up the report. And I know so little about audio engineering, about like how to edit music. I know the thing is like I think I know a lot about a lot, but the things that I don't know, I'm damn near like mentally handicapped.
You almost said the R word.
I almost said the R word, man.
You almost said the R word.
Well, if you say it with a Boston accent, it's way funnier. You can say retarded. No, so this is gonna be fun for me because it's just gonna be me like learning about shit, dude. Because I have
the podcast and the production behind it.
Well, yeah, just like there it is, man. Welcome.
Custom beats.
It's a good beat.
Here we go.
I don't know why, but the first thing that popped in my head was, I know she still loves me, but I don't think she likes me anymore. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Human Disaster Podcast. Thanks for listening off the bat. Here with my co-host Jerry, who usually does this portion. And we have a really interesting show for you today because I am so uneducated on this matter. I know so little about what we're going to talk about. So first off, if you watched the video, you've noticed that there is a giant Cthulhu on the table. And if you don't know what Cthulhu is, he's how would you explain it?
Like a monolithic creature.
That is like it's almost too giant and powerful for humans to even conceive.
Yeah, like the thought of seeing it in like actuality would cause you to instantly go insane.
Well, and that's what a lot of people's theory about the birdcage. Or is that what it's called? The movie Birdcage? That's a Bird Box. Bird Box. Yeah, that was the theory. Bullock. Is that what they were seeing was cosmic horror? Is that's why they were going insane? Or your greatest fear? It doesn't matter. The whole point is of course, I don't think many people believe that there is a infinite tentacled monster in space, but there's something that just is terrifying to me, and this is one of the few things I do know about space, which is it is infinite, which sounds cool.
Yeah. Until you think about what that means.
Well, I don't. That's my secret, homie. I'd be a mess.
Yeah. Well, that scares me. Nope. Turn it around.
Yeah. You know what? I think that's something that to be said for like if something just doesn't. I mean, I'm the dude that'll go to Mexico on a whim, but I'm also the dude that like if you told me like, hey man, there's a jellyfish in there, I'd be like, I'm not getting in there.
I'm not getting in that water.
I don't understand jellyfish.
I've been stung by jellyfish. It's not fun.
Yeah. Don't pee on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't pee on it. So. One of the things that I do know about you is that whenever you have like a fascination with something, you kind of dive in full force, right?
Full on, yeah.
And I'm just curious, is space kind of like, or the cosmos, or, I mean, has that always been kind of something that you were really interested in?
Up until, it wasn't really up until probably my mid-20s, last couple years, probably. And because I started learning more about it, and then it started to scare me the more I learned. And so one of my things is like, if something scares you, do it more. So I started kind of trying to study it more and more and learn more about it because I wanted to be able to understand it, which is one of the reasons why I have a bunch of space like nebulas on my arm and shit. Like these are all like actual space nebulas from like actual space because they're my favorite ones when I've researched them and looked at them and like how they look and things like that. So I did that as something to like remind me like, hey, if you're afraid of it, like keep going, like keep getting into it. And the more I learn, the more scared I get.
So,
but I keep trying.
What was the catalyst for your interest in it? Like, was there a point, or can you pinpoint, or was it just kind of a slow progression of like, oh, this is interesting, and then after a while, it's like, oh, shit.
Yeah, it kind of was almost linear, because like, you know, you see something, and like one day online you see a weird fact about the moon, and then the next thing you know, you're looking at like missions that we've done to Mars, right? So like you're from further and further getting out into space, and then you know, hey, what is it? Jupiter and Saturn have like over 50 moons each, like, you know, and like look at these rings, and like, so like you keep going and going, and then learn about other galaxies that have like exoplanets that are outside of our solar system and shit like that, and I've just kept going, like trying to figure out those, not figure it out, but like just learning about it, you know what I mean? So it's definitely been progressive, like, or there's been a slow progression. It wasn't like one day I was like, what is that?
Yeah, it wasn't like a childhood interest. No. It was just kind of,
not at all. Yeah, I didn't, and I think part of the reason I didn't was because I had
religion.
Yeah, that very like religion dome on everything, and it wasn't a part of religion, so you didn't think about what wasn't within your religion, because then it's wrong. Like it's deemed as wrong.
Yeah, it's blasphemous.
Yeah, exactly. So what we know and what is within this religion is what we know, and that's all that we care about, and anything outside of that is irrelevant. And that's why when I started to find my own path and my own way and believe my own beliefs and things like that, that's when I started to become more like factual with like things that we know and we can study and we can prove and things like that. And that's where I started to dive into the real like cosmos.
So do you have any, I mean, I'm sure, I know you've seen Neil deGrasse Tyson, did I say it?
Mm-hmm.
And are you a fan of like Carl Sagan and all that too, or is it just like kind of do you try to get like a whole plethora of multiple sources of information on the matter? Because guys, it's like,
I just try to find something that's factual. Like I got into Neil deGrasse Tyson because and even Elon Musk, because they were on Joe Rogan's podcast, and so that was when I started, you know, getting deep into things and learning about it, and just heard them and then listened to them and learned from them, and then same thing. You know, what's NASA doing? What missions are they having and things like that, and just kind of go off that direction with it.
Just a quick question. I'm a recovering conspiracy theorist. Super hard. It's really bad. Yeah. I'm embarrassed of it. But do you think we landed on the moon?
I do.
Yeah, I do too. Which is like blasphemous for conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
It's like that's like square one conspiracy theory.
I think it's funny that people don't, but I mean, if you look into the conspiracies of it, like, well, they didn't have the cameras and the technology to do that at that time, and then it's like, no, they could have done it like that. Like, those things are funny, but
I think one of the things that's really lost on a lot of people is like why astronaut was one of the professions that was like aspired to be, because it was just so fucking brave. Like, yeah. Sitting on top of a giant missile about to be launched into space with no idea how it's gonna go.
Yeah, dude. Actually, so I did a lot of. I love doing this segment, dude.
Notebook, y'all.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yes,
I took some notes.
No, this is yin and yang.
This is how I work. This is how I operate.
Yeah, I got a rock star energy drink.
No, I was doing a lot because I knew we were going to do another segment of good luck sleeping, and I really, really love doing this segment, if you can't tell. But the fact that you say it's dangerous, I learned this today, dude. Since we've been sending people to space, not like satellites and Voyagers,
dogs and orangutans.
Yeah, like we've sent over our history, we've sent 430 people into space. Mm-hmm. Do you know how many of them have not come back?
Well, are you counting that? Do they get through the stratosphere, because that's where most shit happens? I mean, because I know Gus Grissom, Ed White, and then what about 10?
18.
Oh shit!
Have not made it back, and we've only traveled. People have only traveled as far as the moon. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So if you think space travel is happening anytime soon, it's not.
Well, can I
It's not.
can I lighten this up just a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, do you know how they train? Do you know how they train the monkeys to fly the lunar? Like, I mean, not the lunar, but like the orbiting module.
No.
This is fucking true. 'Cause they would have the module, like a model of the computer, and then they would hook them up to electricity, and if they would have to press the sequence of buttons that were lighting up, and if they got it wrong, they would get shocked. Like, if they got it right, they get a banana pellet. That's how they train them. It's true. And then one more story, and then I really want to get back towards the fear aspect, but I'm just like kind of like, I know that this is going to hurt me a little bit.
To get the thought out?
Oh, yeah, well, no. Just to learn how like Cthulhu might be out there. Alan Shepard was the first American to orbit the Earth, and there's a famous story about how whenever they were about to launch him into space, they had an issue, and they grounded him for like 4 hours. But it was such a process to get him into that they were just like, you have to stay there. There's a famous story, he had to piss, and then he's like, what do you do? Well, just go.
Yeah.
And they asked him years later, like, what were you thinking when you were about to be launched, like be the first American to be launched into space? He's like, what was I thinking? That every single piece of this rocket was built by the lowest bidder.
Oh,
It's
man.
just one of my favorite stories. But
That's how it works, dude.
so what? First off, I want to put this right. Do you, whenever you think about what terrifies you most, is it the vastness? Is it the unknown, or is it like certain things that you find out? Like an example.
Yeah. So there's a couple different things within all of that I find equally interesting as I do terrifying. A big part of it is combined between the vastness and the unknown, because growing up, I think this is why, and I'm saying this out loud for like the first time, so forgive me if I'm stumbling here, but growing up in that dome of religion that I grew up in, I only know how to like think that way in one way, right? And so now that I'm, that's all that you knew, and then there was a book that the Bible, right? That's what was true, the quote unquote, that's what was true, and now I'm learning what is true and what we've proven via science and things like that. And so that's why this is kind of so like interesting to me, and that's why it scares me, is because there's things we do know and there's things we don't know, and the parts that we don't know is what I get afraid of, because I'm like, whoa, why don't we know it? What can we do to learn it? You know what I mean? So for example, space is ever expanding, and it's getting, as it expands, it's expanding faster, which is odd, right? So for example, Einstein came up with this theory, and then he was like, fuck it. But basically, like, if you're on Earth and you throw a ball up in the air, it comes down and you catch it, right? Well, basically space is the same in terms of, you throw the ball up in the air and it doesn't come back down, it keeps going, and then as it's going, as you're watching it fly away, it's going faster and faster and faster until you can't see it anymore. That's what space is doing.
It's the opposite of gravity, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so in line with that, there's a thing called like dark matter and dark energy, and that's what is like carrying that ball out, right? And the way they know that dark matter and dark energy exists is because they can see that something's there and it's affecting the gravity around it, but they can't see what it is. And basically, of all the matter that's in space that we have, that we know and define, it's 25% of what is out there. So the other 75% is made up of dark matter and dark energy. And that's basically, when we look, we can see gravitational waves and shit. Mike is spiraling out of control right now.
Stressing me out a little bit. I think the ever expanding thing is what gets me.
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then here, let me throw this on top of that. Let me just sprinkle this on here for you.
Sprinkle away, man. I'm already here.
Do you know why humans are afraid of the dark?
Well, I mean, I would assume because we're not built for seeing at night and predators. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It's an evolutionary trait that we have to protect ourselves, right? I can't see it. It's unknown. I'm afraid, right? But as time goes on, as adults, we grow to learn that the chances of monsters under the bed or in the closet are slim to none. Right.
But to our ancestors, they were like from the time you woke up to the time you died. Like,
yeah, exactly.
there was something trying to eat you.
Yeah. So that's darkness with what we know, right? But in space,
it's damn dark.
We don't know, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's fucking dark out there. And on top of that, space is a vacuum. So there's no sound. But that doesn't mean sound is not happening, because it can still be recorded through electromagnetic like vibrations and waves. And NASA has recordings of sound in space, but if you were out there, you can't hear it. So you can't hear it, you can't see it, and you're just there. And if you were just traveling in that, like, that's fucking terrifying to me. And here's another reason why it's terrifying, right? So I had to write these facts down because I didn't want to get them wrong. But
I'm so glad I'm not the only one in the room for this.
Are you spiraling out of control too? No, she doesn't give a shit.
She's
dude.
like so.
She's rock solid.
She's so well adjusted compared to me.
Yeah, because she's like, I'll be dead by the time any of this detrimental shit happens. But to me, I freak out about it right now, like as if there's something I can do about it. But there's not.
Can I ask an important question for your personality?
Yes.
Do you care about your great great grandchildren? How many generations up and down do you care about?
I care about
all of them. Dude.
All of them, yeah. I mean, I'm like trying to think, like, how far should I go?
It's 3 up, 3 down. That's it. Posterity don't mean shit to me.
Hey, Zach's here. Do you want to let him pop a chair in here? And he can just sit there and...
I mean, we're 20 minutes in. Maybe?
No, we're good. We'll keep going, but he can just sit there and let him in. Yeah. Okay. All right.
So, well, this is... I want to ask this before we continue. Is it's like... I kind of have the same feeling with the ocean, because it's like there's so much of it that we have not explored.
Yeah.
And the thing is it's the ocean. So you're at the beach, you having a drink and hanging out with family. You don't really think about it, except for when somebody's like, "Hey, did you know we haven't explored like 75% of our oceans?" And I'm just like, "Oh, you bastard!" So, is there? When it comes to space, is there like wormholes freak me out because I don't understand them, but I don't think it's... Do you think it's like what they talk about Interstellar, like where it's like you just punch through the other side? Because I'm pretty sure you get mangled. No,
I don't. I haven't seen Interstellar, but I don't think that it would. I don't think that. And here's why. If we were to travel at the speed of light, it would be we wouldn't be able to take it, because what's happening at the speed of light is, there's some science behind this, and I don't know exactly. It has to do with like the hydrogen atoms and like the way it all moves and things like that. Like if the way it becomes a gas.
We're not made of light.
Yeah, but basically, there's too much radiation that would occur within that would just fucking kill us, dude. And it would wipe out any sort of electronics that were in a spaceship or anything like that, which is why we're not able to do that. But at the same time, we also can't create spaceships that are fast enough to get out. So like we're stuck in this, like we can't go fast enough, but we also can't go too fast because...
I watched something about like have you ever seen Arrival?
Yes.
Yeah. So
yeah,
they were talking about how like
Caitlin loves that movie, dude.
So one of the interesting things that I've heard a lot is that humans, like if you look at our evolutionary timeline, we've evolved past like different animals, great apes, all that, and it's like we have all these steps, like okay, learning how to use tools, manifest fire, and then where we are now. But it's like we don't know where the next hurdle is.
Yeah.
So I guess I run into people all the time who believe in UFOs, and I run into people all the time who don't. I mean, usually it's drawn along a religious line. Whenever you were in that world, did you have any thoughts about it, or was it just kind of a closed off area that you just stayed away from, or have you always kind of thought, yeah, there's probably something else out there
within the world of religion?
Well, just like whenever you were indoctrinated into this world, like, did you ever think about UFOs? Like, oh, there's probably aliens out there.
Yeah, all the time. Oh, I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with aliens and like crop circles and like, because they were like, oh, we can account for 87% of crop circles and they're all man-made, and everyone was like, well, what about the other 13? I'm like, well, fuck, like What about it? But then again,
I just think it's like just a statistic game. I mean, if you look up, if every star is a sun, there's got to be a rock floating somewhere. But I mean, I really don't want to meet him.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm gonna come back to your little ocean bit though, because that's another like kind of like a fear of mine. But I used to think differently on that compared to space, but now I'm like, fuck that. Let's go to space.
Okay. You would rather go to space than the ocean?
Now I didn't used to think like that.
Really?
Yeah. I used to think, well, who cares the fuck what's out there? Well, let's learn everything we need to know about our own planet first. So let's explore the ocean.
Oh man.
But now I don't think like that anymore.
I think we're probably in the same boat, because I thought the same way until I read about red tide. I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah, red tide's fucking scary.
Well, again, it's like there's like a void that we're caught in the middle of. We can't get so deep in the ocean to explore it further because of the pressure that's there.
Yeah. We
can't create a robot to go do it for us. It'll just crush. Like, there's too much pressure. But then again, like we can't get further out to space than what we already have. Okay, let me throw some of this at you, dude, because this shit, this is crazy. Okay. Do you know how long it took? Back in 1969, you know how long it took Apollo 11 to get to the moon for the moon landing?
3 days.
3 days, correct. Okay.
I'm a history buff, man.
Now, with updated technology today, if we were to get to Mars, it would take 7 to 9 months.
Yeah.
Okay. Pluto would be 10 years.
Fuck.
Okay. Now, if we were traveling at the speed of light, which we already said
we can't
do right now.
Well, I don't think we ever will. Biology's biology.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think so. It would, if we were traveling at the speed of light, it would still take 4 years to reach the nearest star to Earth, which is Alpha Centauri B. Centauri B. I'm probably saying that wrong.
You think they'd give it a cooler name if it was the closest?
Yeah, right.
Like
Alpha Centauri B. Some of this shit's real hard to say, but at the same star, if we went a speed we probably could do. Actually, we can, because there are other things we have sent to Pluto that went roughly about like 30,000 kilometers an hour. If we went on average at 13.5 thousand kilometers a second, which is roughly 5% the speed of light, it would still take 100 years to get to that same star. We'd have to put infants on and like program them with a chip so that when they were 100, they could get there and tell us. And then once we got there, it would still take another 4.5 years to transmit the data back to Earth.
Well, so this is probably like the opposite of the reaction I got for Arrival, but did y'all see Passengers with Chris Pratt?
Yeah, Chris Pratt.
Lawrence?
Yeah.
Man,
still a good movie.
It's a good movie, but
Arrival's
I would assume that's the only feasible way, is that you have to
cryogenically frozen.
Yeah, or you would just have to have a generation on board.
No? Why do you say no to cryogenically freezing?
It's biologically impossible.
I just think it's that there's so many hurdles that we don't know about. Like I know
how much percent water?
Well, it's just
freezing us will kill us.
Well, no, but I'm not saying that I believe in my lifetime or my kid's lifetime, but I just like I never thought that I'd be able to sit in my house and yell at a flat piece of glass to turn on my lights, and then it would. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know technology.
That's technology, but biology is biology. If you freeze water, you can't bring the bacteria in it back to life. Like, you freeze us, we're how much percent water? It's biologically impossible to freeze somebody and bring them back to life.
I mean, I don't think that it would be, because the things that age us are living. You know what I mean? Like the sun, just being a human. So I think that it probably won't be freezing, like but I think that there's a way to preserve humans where it's not that they stop the aging process, but where
cell
degeneration. Exactly. Like if you had told somebody in the 90s that we would be able to almost eradicate HIV, they'd be like, no fucking way.
Oh yeah, I believe there is a way to stop cell degeneration. It's through stem cells. 100%.
Yeah, and people get really weird about it.
Yeah. It's interesting though, because at your grandparents, they had a pond with koi fish in it, and every winter, it was up in Pittsburgh, every winter the pond would freeze, all the fish would be in it, and then it would thaw out in the spring and the fish would just start swimming again.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's
I don't know. There's got to be. I mean,
because the ones
got to
that
be something.
The ones that didn't died off. That evolution is probably what space is for me because it's like there's just. Why do we have an appendix? But go ahead. That freaks me out. That freaks me out to this day. Like, why do I have an appendix? Just something that's built to kill me, maybe.
Yeah.
But do you have a favorite just where it's not scary? That like you just enjoy learning about? It's like for me, it would probably be like what time frame? Like the 50s for me. Like I just like learning about the 50s because it was an era of good feelings, except for the Red Scare. But
like a favorite like part of space that I just like.
Favorite planet, man.
I mean, anything that I learn about the planets is awesome. The whole idea of like living on Mars is a really cool idea. I also like learning about. I don't think it'll happen anytime soon in our lifetime, or maybe even our kids. But the idea of them creating like self-sustaining systems, like just as rings, or even like just floating planetary things in between planets, like space stations, essentially.
Like Cowboy Bebop, man.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop, like Halo 2, and just those ideas are like really, really cool. But also just learning like about other planets and their environments and things like that, and just how they are, and like watching. Babe, what was it? Was it Saturn that we actually sent something to, and it actually landed on the surface of it?
I thought it was a gas giant.
No, I think it was Saturn.
Because Neil deGrasse Tyson showed us the video of it at his little thing. Just in general, like
for some reason I thought you were gonna say at his house. I'm like, what?
That'd be awesome. I wish, yeah.
Just invited us over.
But no, it was just really cool to see that kind of stuff. But also, so something that used to scare the living shit out of me that I'm now more comfortable with is black holes. They used to just fucking completely terrify me, but I've just continued to watch videos and like understand the breakdown of them and how they work and things like that, and what they are, what's happening, and what we see, and the reason it's called a black hole and things like that. And ever since I've learned that, it's been less scary, and it's more just like the sheer size of it that they can be is
that it could eat our planet whole.
That there's a black hole that's out there that is like they could fit 30 million of our suns. I'm not okay with that thought of that, but I get it.
The closest one to us.
I feel like space is like the penultimate version of Australia.
What do you mean?
Everything's designed to kill you, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, I want to work back to outside life, just because I feel like a lot of people have to think about this, right? So, do you think that it would be a communication? That's why I think Arrival was so awesome, was because it brought up a really good point that no one talks about. It's like, how do we communicate with beings that are past our way of communicating?
Yeah.
Are you one of those people that's like, I would be stoked if UFOs showed up? Or are you one of those people that's like, I don't want to know. The government can do whatever, but like, just leave me out of it.
I think I'd be stoked.
Really?
Like if they it depends on how they show up. If they show up and it's just mass destruction from the get-go, like War of the Worlds, okay, then I'm going to be a little scared. But if they show up like Arrival and they're just there waiting until we start trying to figure out how to communicate, like, I'm all for it.
District 9 is so underrated.
I haven't seen District 9. I've always wanted to.
The whole point of it is like we treated these aliens as like second-class citizens. Like we treated them. But the only thing that scares me is exploration is usually spearheaded for one endeavor as resources. So that's the only thing that get like this. That's the thing that like I lay awake.
So
like,
here's an interesting thought to that. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, there are rogue planets like just hurling through space that contain like oceans that we could
shut the fuck up.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, they're not a part of like any solar system or anything like that. They're just hurling through, and they contain, because of like the states and other solar systems they've been through, they've had their planetary ecosystem create just oceans and stuff like that. Like, so I'm sure we could find that out there, but it doesn't matter, because inevitably the whole like space and like the Big Bang and things like that, it's just a repeating cycle. Eventually we're not going to be here anymore.
Well,
and
Yeah, I mean,
and it's gonna, there's a whole thing. I don't know too much about it because I didn't want to dive too much into it because I wanted to have all my thoughts straight. But maybe we'll do it for Good Luck Sleeping 3. But it's called like the Big Crunch or the Big Rip. It's basically things that end the universe and then how it just starts over. And basically that's like how we got like the Big Bang, which by the way is a real thing. They have pictures of the Big Bang. It's like the oldest source of light that we've been able to trace back. It's the Big Bang, and you can see the light transmitting from it to us, and you can see the distortion in the light waves as other gravitational things have happened. So like it's all fucking real, dude. Like
to be honest with you, the Big Bang is the only reason I believe in a God. Because it's just too weird.
So the whole thing, a part of it is this is like the short version of the Big Crunch. It's basically like as space is expanding at that faster and faster rate, that it can only gravity can only do so much and take so much before it's spreading out so much, and then it just comes back in on itself, and that's how everything will end and start over. Like it'll rip the planet apart.
How many rotations do you think we've been through? Jesus Christ!
That's what I'm saying. Like, dude, I'm talking like it'll implode and rip the fucking sun apart atom by atom.
Dude, Good Luck Sleeping was like, I was like, oh, haha, this is like fucking clever. Haha, Jerry, good job.
No, this was a real thing.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I do.
But back on the resources, here's why I think it's arbitrary to go out and find them. You know why? Because things are already happening that are going to end us, okay? The moon every year is 4 centimeters further away from Earth, which doesn't seem like a lot, but what does the moon do?
Tide.
Our fucking tide, everything. The moon helps the Earth rotate. If the Earth stops rotating, that means one side of the Earth is constantly getting heat from the sun, and the other side is going to be an Arctic area.
I do have to say, like, whenever people tell me shit like that, I'm like, I'm glad I didn't hold back in life.
I'm glad I went all out for it.
Did I ever tell you what Burkholder used to tell me whenever I'd be all freaking out about shit I had to do? Like, oh, you ain't got to do shit but stay white and die, bubba. So, but
I mean, it's true.
But I mean, like, even our planet, though. Like, I mean, and I don't even think, I don't know how much this has to do with humans. I don't like fighting with people about it because I'm ignorant to it. Yeah. But it's like, we've had ice ages before. Well, we're going to have another one.
Yeah, well, that's actually the next thing I was going to say was, and I got a lot of this from...
I am so good at this.
I got this from like studying and learning more from Graham Hancock, who I talked about the first time we did this. He talks about like ancient civilizations and like the other shit and like nationalism and like giving a fuck about all this other arbitrary shit is just completely pointless. It doesn't matter. We should be working together as a one person, like all countries combined, to save and protect the planet.
The only thing that's going to do that is something greater than all of us threatening us, like Halo.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's already here. I'm going to mispronounce it here, but I think it's called like the Tetrad meteor stream or something like that. Maybe if you want to look it up for us, it's called the Tetrad meteor stream or something. But basically, it comes by in June and I think October or November, and it's basically meteors that are like, it's a stream that we're traveling through, and these meteors, the last one hit, I think it was like 1907 or 19 something early, and it happened to hit like a vacant area of like Siberia, but the impact it had would wipe out London if it would have hit there. Well, nobody gave a fuck because it hit nothing. But if it hit something that was detrimental, you imagine London being destroyed, the size of that city being destroyed. It can happen at any fucking moment.
I don't know why that doesn't scare me as much as
the moon.
Well, no, the Big Crunch. I mean, because it's like, the thing is I know that there's shit flying through space at a rate that I can't comprehend. But I also know that humans conceived a way to make destruction on that level, and then we unleashed it. Mm-hmm. Like, Russia had like 110 megaton nuke that they just were like, we'll see what happens. Yeah. And so I guess that doesn't freak me out as much. And well, they had that meteor shower in Russia not long ago, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Where there's just
that's one of them from this stream. Go ahead, babe. We found it.
Druid Swarm meteor shower.
I don't think that's
the one that hit Russia.
So the Russia.
So that's the one we saw.
Yeah, it has like pictures of like Siberia. Like the trees are just like floored, dude.
I don't even want.
Find this Siberia picture. Show them like the Siberia, the trees. Yeah, dude, like just trees like like just knocked over. Like you ever step on grass and like the way it's bent over? That's the trees. Like,
dude, I
can't take it. I love it.
Well, no, it's not that because I know that Ben Affleck and Bruce Willis will keep us safe from people. I don't want to close my eyes.
What about what's his name? He was in The Martian.
Ben Affleck?
No,
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon. Dude, he was great in that movie.
I didn't see The Martian because he's in Interstellar.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, and it's about him surviving on his own on a planet. And I thought it was like,
what's the forest after being hit?
You know what that looks like to me? That looks like Verdun. In World War One, it's like the thing. I guess it doesn't freak me out as much as the Big Crunch because I cannot comprehend the Big Crunch. I cannot comprehend.
I can measure this.
Yeah, it's like if a meteor came down and wiped out a city, it would probably be for the good of the planet. Other than the ecological effects they would have, but it's like people come together. It's like,
well, in any movie where aliens are coming to Earth, it's the only time all countries band together. So
you got to watch Watchmen, but yeah, it's true. It's the common other. But I didn't know how long you wanted to run on this one, but
I got a page of phobias we can run through. No, that's fine.
So I'm just making sure. I'm running this.
Yeah. You're fucking this dog. I'm just holding it down.
Dude, don't say that. Because I just have a flashback to Wiley's in 2011, and this guy just fucking eating it on stage while he tells this 5-minute story about fucking this dog.
Yeah, that's not okay.
It's just like, dude, this isn't stand up.
Somebody should really get that guy off there. Like,
yeah,
this shouldn't be a comedy.
Well, but the thing was, all the comics were dying because it's funny. But
yeah.
But get back to the terrifying subject of. So, do you think that these thoughts, like, without the benefit of the internet and us having access to any information we want, and this is just a quick question, like, do you think H.P. Lovecraft had like an understanding at that level when he started writing cosmic horror?
Yes, because for those that don't know, H.P. Lovecraft was a horror writer in the 1920s who was very underrated. He did a lot of shit before his time. He's never really gotten the praise.
He's like the Van Gogh of horror.
Yeah, and he wrote a short story called The Call of Cthulhu, which is basically about people finding Cthulhu and like religions, like the hidden deep in like the swamps of like Louisiana and like voodoo tribes and shit like that worship him and like you know what I mean. So, and his whole thing when he wrote like horror stories was that it was around that philosophy of like
by the way, it's called cosmic horror for a reason.
Yeah. What the fuck was I saying? He wrote basically a lot of his writings were like basically you find like the sight of something just makes you go insane. Yeah, but the very first line on almost paragraph of The Call of Cthulhu talks about this like I can't even think of how to say it without just like reading it. Can we read it? Can you? Well, we can't read it. Okay, wow.
Well, just
yeah, it talks about like us not being able to comprehend what is out there in the cosmos.
And it's like I think it's funny that the Cthulhu is almost a caricature of like this idea. Concept of we don't know, we don't know, and I think that's where like forget about vampires, werewolves, and like anything or ghost even anything that like we think of as horror. It's like the idea of the complete unknown that you can't understand, I think is like really where I start to like, all right, Trey, pump the brakes.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, and that's like I said that before, that's where I'm at with the space stuff, dude. Like before, I didn't know anything, which is why it all scared me. And then I started diving into it, I started learning, and now stuff within I feel like our solar system, like all the way even out, you know, including Pluto, I feel like it's a safe space. Like I feel like it's our safe
anything within the Milky Way, you're like, all right, we're good. Like
I mean, because it'll take us I think it was that same travel time at the speed of light, it would take us 100,000 years to get to the center of the Milky Way. So
wait, what?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Space is big, man.
Far, dude.
Shit, I mean, fucking that Alpha Centauri B is like 4 light years away, and it's gonna take us, you know, traveling at the speed of light. It would take us 4 years to get there.
So I know I probably there's probably been a couple times in this episode where you've been like, "Do you ask me that?" But I have to get shit straight in my mind.
Oh, get it straight.
Do you think that it's a possibility that like even our universe is like it's such a stupid reference, but like the Men in Black, like where they open up the locker and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, do you think that
like they're living among us?
No. Oh. Like, okay, let me put this away. I think it was Joe Rogan had an old bit where he talked about this, where he's like, "Have you ever thought that our universe is just a cell on the nutsack of an ant in another world?" And it's like we are so sure of how important this all is, but we could like everything we know, everything we can even comprehend is just a smaller part of something minuscule, and that scares me.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why it does. I mean, I still exist. I'm still real. I still have feelings. But I guess I think it's along the same lines as every human who's ever lived thought that the world was going to end during their lifetime.
Yeah.
But it doesn't.
I think along those lines is why people cling to the idea of religion or needing to believe in a higher power to explain why we're here, is because we don't know, right? Those are the two questions that everybody wants to know the answer to. What happens after you die? And are we alone? And that's
I have
also
a few others.
But that's what everybody wants to know.
Yeah.
And that's, to put a caveat to all that and accept no explanation is to be like, oh, it doesn't matter. God made us in his image. We're here for him. Well, I don't think that's legit.
So whenever we talked about this, doing an episode like this, and whenever we talk about phobias, I have superficial phobias, like leeches.
Okay. Spiders and snakes.
Ladders.
Ladders?
Yeah, man. I'm not scared of heights. I can be high places and it doesn't bother me. I don't get sick or nothing. But, dude, being on an extension ladder on the 3rd story somewhere, fuck all that, man. You know what I mean? Because I've done it and it's not, you know what I mean? So I guess those are like superficial. But we just like kind of crossed it because I thought this was going to be like, like Jerry's like throwing like fun facts at me like softballs. But like I'm
hitting them home runs, man.
Dude, you're not. Dude, it's not even home runs anymore. It's like you're at fucking batting cages on easy level.
Every night of my life.
Caitlin, you're
Sorry, honey.
so brave. And like fuck Meryl Streep. She just got in front of like a bunch of people who agreed with her and said fuck Donald Trump, and they all cheered. That's not brave. That's brave. Every night sleeping next to this fucking lunatic.
Being my wife is brave. That's fair.
Man.
That's fair.
So, do you have any superficial like phobias like that, or is it just like this has overtaken all that shit?
I mean, yeah, fear of space is called astrophobia, and I don't know if I'm like necessarily like, I don't know, phobias are weird because like some things I'm like all in, I'm like, yeah, that's a phobia of mine. Other things I'm like, in certain context I don't like this, but in other times I'm okay with it. Like trypophobia, which is that like fear of like clusters of holes or patterns of holes.
Oh, dude, that freaks everybody out. Like that one where it's like a flower and it's like...
It doesn't freak her out, but it's fucking weird. But like, I'm okay with it in certain things. Like if it's not on... If it's like, okay, Swiss cheese, I'm cool with that. But if it's your skin, that bothers me. Because I think in my head, it's the unknown of what caused that. What did that? Is it a bug? Is it a disease? Like, does it hurt? Like... Did it hurt getting it? And that's the shit that I don't like about it. But when I see it like as a pattern on a plant, I'm fine with it. Babe, I swear to God, if you're looking at pictures right now, I'm gonna throw up.
Actually,
I swear to God.
I got a co-sign on that. I'm not about it. But
no, you could do it. You could do it. There's some that I'm like, fuck that.
Oh, man, no way, dude. Fuck all that. I'm looking at it right now. But like evil Jamie.
Yeah. So like the finger one on the right, that one bothers me. But the red one on the left, I'm fine with that. Beehives, I'm fine with that. I like honeycombs. I think it's a cool pattern. That fucking bothers me. It's like his whole back is like torn up. What happened? Did he fall into a shredder?
Have you ever seen like
okay, stop.
It's like a shotgun blast after like it's healed. It's really it's wild.
Yeah, dude.
But
what do you mean? What do you mean like superficial fears? Like stupid shit that shouldn't be a fear? Or?
Well, no, and I hate using the term irrational because it's like if you fear something most of the time there's like a good reason, right? I think children are the only one who have like really irrational fears. It's just because if you can understand something, then usually you don't fear it. But like for me, like I always go back to leeches. It's just the thought, like leeches and ticks, man. I mean, I'm not,
fair.
but
Something sucking on your body.
well, just something being well, what are those things that stick to whale sharks?
Oh
yeah, they like it's like a mutually beneficial relationship.
A symbiotic.
the krill. No, they eat krill.
Man, I know
what you're talking about.
the
little sucker fish that stuck to whale sharks. And they just
just
hang out on there.
I love whale sharks, and then Julie's always on me. And I'm like,
Get off.
but just to get back to, I guess what it is like I'm like not being able to communicate, Alzheimer's, like that's all is those are like, Alzheimer's is like my number one greatest fear in life, because I've lived my life in a way where I always thought my body would fail before my mind, right? And seeing it and being around it, that is a phobia of mine for sure.
That's fair.
But at the same time, everybody tells you to live in the moment, and people with Alzheimer's are the only ones who live in the moment. So I guess
that's all they know, dude.
Yeah.
Like, what moment are they living in?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard. I've seen so many cases, but
Yeah, it's rough. So you used to go into old folks' homes, right?
yeah, like where they were on lockdown and stuff, 24-hour care. But what I'm trying to say is that it's not a phobia to the point where like I break down, have to stop the car, everything stops. But it's something that I definitely have a fear of that gives me pause. Like whenever I see it in front of me, like it's like I'm confronting something. So like, is there anything of that nature, or is it like, because space is hard to top?
I mean, there are some smaller things that bother me, like the thalassophobia is a fear of like large bodies of water and the hidden like surfaces and creatures that are under it. So if you think of like being in a lake and you can't see the bottom, that trips me out. I don't like that, especially when like, I mean, there's, she's gonna look it up.
Whenever a fish like kind of like, hey, what's up, man?
Yeah,
like,
but you can't see it. You're like, oh, fuck. Yeah. That kind of shit bothers me. Some things, this is in line with Cthulhu, but like it's called megalophobia, and it's a fear of just like large fucking objects. Like, so if you're walking on a pier and you see a cruise liner and it's just this huge ship,
yeah.
Or if you live in a city and you can't stand like all the skyscrapers and buildings that are above you, yeah, you probably have megalophobia. You know what I mean? So some things like that, like if it was a creature, that bothers me.
So like a liger would be a no-go for you?
A liger?
It's a real thing.
You're there and it's just...
Yeah, like it's just like the blue water fades to black, and that... I don't like. It's unsettling to me. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it because I've swam in the ocean my whole life, which is fine. But
I wouldn't call Corpus Christi ocean. It's more mud than anything. Sorry, Corpus.
I wouldn't say I'm claustrophobic either, but there are times when I don't like the feeling of being restricted. Like one time I was a kid, we were messing around, and I went into my sleeping bag head first, and like tried to turn around, like I fucking got like lost and flipped out, dude. I had like a panic attack in there, dude.
I mean, that was kind of your fault.
Yeah, I absolutely asked for it.
Sleeping bag, you just fucking crawl out ass backwards, dumbass.
Yeah. Well, when you're in a panic, you don't think rationally.
No, I know.
Which is why scuba divers, when the first thing they teach you to do when you're scuba diving is to when you don't have air or your oxygen's not flowing, is the first thing they teach you is don't panic. But if you can't breathe and you're underwater, the first thing you're going to do is panic and swim up, which you can't do. You can't do that. So, yeah, it's some crazy shit, man.
So for you, a lot of your fears are due to, like, unknown and not knowing.
Correct. And
it's like, is it like a control thing, you think? Like, where it's like, I know that I don't understand this, therefore I can't control it, or, like, I don't understand it, so it's like just,
No, I think it's just the unknown, and I want to understand it. Because... that's how I work, and that's like you said earlier. I get obsessed with shit, and I break it down to its bare fundamentals, and I learn it from the foundation up. Right, so I learn it at the surface, break it down to the foundation, and then do it back the other way. But when I'm on the way up, I'm the one doing it. Right, so I mean, I can't think of any kind of example right now, but that's just how I
like music. Like you've learned you have an understanding of every instrument's role within a band.
Yeah. And like and how to write a song, how to construct a song, how to flow, how to record it, start to finish, how to mix it, how to master it. Like that's something I do, right?
And for me, I did, and this is why I really like talking to you about shit like this. Is like I'm just like, I'll just
just let them do it.
Ignorance is bliss, man.
It is.
I could have gone my whole life and not known about the Big Crunch.
Mm-hmm.
How many cycles have we been through, dude? What if the Jetsons was real, and then just like one day Judy was like, "Hey, we'll do whatever dinner." It's
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah,
fuck.
It's crazy, man. And that goes back in line with another reason why I really like just the more and more I learn, the more and more I discredit religion. And I'm not trying to be like excommunicate or anything like that, but like I just have a hard time believing it. Like right now on Earth, they're using a thing called LiDAR, which is where they have helicopters rolling over the Amazon using laser detection, and they're finding they're finding civilizations buried under nature that has overgrown it. And they're basically saying like, this is a city that probably had millions of people in it over 13,000 years ago. And probably what happened is other settlers came from other area, brought over diseases that they weren't accustomed to, and it wiped them out because they didn't have vaccines.
Guns, germs, and steel.
So, and the fact that, you know, archaeology and history is only, and religion is only taking us back so far and saying this is the beginning of time, and now we're finding proof that there was time before that, I don't buy it, man.
Well, I think this may be a sign of weakness, and of course everyone thinks that their way of looking at shit is right, but I mean, it's just I think... Like I said before on the show, I really think that if you look at it like a game of Sims, it makes the most sense. Like there seems to be intelligent design to all this, but at the same time, like how long do you let the kids live at home? You know what I mean? Like, yes, you're not gonna be. You can't take them on every date. So, and I don't know. It's like I'd get bored and go off somewhere else and do my own thing. But to me, I can't. This is where it's gonna. Oh man, it just hit me. It just hit me, man.
Mike's in deep denial. Look at him.
Fuck.
Mike's.
It's like I'm having an existential crisis.
This is like when you have the puzzle all put together and then you pick it up from the edges and all the pieces fall apart. That's what Mike's doing right now.
Oh Jesus Christ! Because that means that if the Big Crunch is real, then that means that he just like wiped the board one day, like he was playing Monopoly and his kid won. And he's just like fuck it.
Or there is no operator to the board, but the universe is already hitting reset on its own.
I just cannot, and maybe it's a human fallacy of mine, but I just cannot imagine that I live in an ever expanding universe with an intelligent design of some sort, like where there's an order and it's like, and there's a piece of nature that is separate from nature that came from nature. Like, so...
Huh? The chicken or the egg?
Oh, no, man. I don't even give a shit. It was probably a dinosaur. So, but God...
There are people that don't believe in dinosaurs.
There are people that believe in angels. I mean... that was... Oh, yes. Yeah. I said that last time. But I want to... Jesus Christ. It hurts. It hurts so bad.
I think my new goal with this segment now is to make sure I have something that does this to Mike every time.
Well, because it's like it used to be make Mike Fat Man laugh, and now it's like make Mike drive home and just think about everything. Like
chain smoke.
You have to walk away from this and be like, "Oh, Jerry."
Well, no, I will.
Survive.
Well,
I'm telling you.
Well, because here's the thing: is like at the end of the day, like my hero's journey doesn't affect any of this. But God damn, man, like I really think I don't think anyone will ever be able to convince me that like even if it was like a third grader, like in terms of gods, like if gods got together and it was like, oh, you made that in third grade, that's cool. Like we're on like the refrigerator somewhere. There has to have been somebody who designed this, man. Why do we have an appendix? Evolution. I don't know. God damn.
I just think, and this is the whole idea behind this segment. Like, if you try to connect the dots, you're just gonna find yourself in a circle. It's like, okay, if we are being controlled by some greater operator, what made him or her, and why are they there? What kind of being are they? What made them? What made them? What? And you'll just keep going and going and going, and it doesn't make any sense. Where does it end?
Well, the thing is evolution is fascinating to me because there's a fucking reason.
Yeah.
There's always a reason. Like, why did dogs help us become what we became? Because there was a one wolf who walked up to a human, wasn't mean, and realized, I can get some table scraps out of this.
Yeah.
And I'll help him, and he'll help me. I mean, cats were there, but they just kind of...
Cats haven't changed since the dawn of time. But just gotten smaller.
You know, you look at all these, there's too many variables for me to tease apart. And I think whenever I broke off of my religion, I kind of just said, like, yo, God, if you're out there, I know you get it. And then, but I still, like, think that there's something. But at the same time, I'm not digging too deep, dog. Like,
I am.
Oh, dude, I've noticed.
I'm on a search for something that I don't know if I'll ever get the answer to, and that's just the way it is.
Dude, I hope that I mean, if I want to have a conversation in 10 years and just see, like, where we both stand on this, because it might be radically fucking different.
It might be.
Because I feel like I'm constructed to find God again. Like, because I think that a lot of people that are religious, I don't think it's an intelligence thing at all. I think it's just you're hedging your bets and it's comfort. Like, I don't know about you, but even though it bores me every time I go to church, I'm like, all right.
You feel better.
I mean,
yeah.
You feel like you got right with something. You know, sorry I curved this into religion, but
no, you're fine.
This is for me.
I feel like not that this segment is about religion, but it's because it's not. It's just about fun things that keep you awake. But
fun.
That's fun for some. But I mean, I think that these ideas that we toss back and
for
forth,
women, it's super fun.
I just think it's gonna constantly circle around it because
it's our biggest existential question.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Why are we here? Are we alone? And what happens when we die? You want to take us out?
Yeah. All right, guys. So I really hope that you were on your way to work, because if you're on your way home, it might fuck up a day. Say you're sitting in a fucking studio somewhere with your friend, and he tells you that the universe is going to collapse on itself in an instant. Everything's going to go black. It bums me out.
There's other ways the universe can die, but we'll save those for when we'll talk about the Big Crunch next time. I'll get more science on it, so maybe we can understand.
We're gonna do a history episode. I'm gonna get you back.
History? What?
Yeah. You learned, like.
I just gave you the greatest history lesson. The universe is just repeating itself.
No, because when you realize that the dumbest president we ever had was the one who made the call to drop the bomb on Japan, and he's the only one who would have made that call because he was so dumb. He was like, "Oh, sir, them. The book stops here."
All right, we'll save that then.
You know, he was never mind.
Yeah.
It's a good topic. But anyway, thank you all for listening.
Thank you.
I had a hard time listening.
Hopefully you're still at this point.
Yeah, Joe, you want to take us out? I'm having a moment. This is why people play Candy Crush. Match
Awesome.
3.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it, as always. More to come soon, as always. And if you can, please absolutely spread the word. Bring other people into your suffering by listening to this.
I mean, I wouldn't phrase it like that.
It's not suffering, but
that's not our packaging.
It's not fair for you to lose sleep, so make sure somebody else is losing sleep with you.
It's kind of like the ring.
Yeah. Pass it on.
It's not. Was the ring a euphemism for, like, syphilis or something? Wait, go ahead. No, I was gonna just to end on a high note. Do you know what the Buddha said to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. Y'all take care. I'm basically constructed out of regret and dad jokes at this point.